Welcome to the last ever episode of the Apparatus podcast. My name is David McNeil. I'm the editor-in-chief at Zero Indent, and I was the host of this show for 7 years. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, B. Hill.
What's up?
It honestly is so weird to be doing this.
We were on break for so long.
Yeah.
And so much has happened since we last filmed one of these. We've tried to put in a few episodes here and there, but there's been
nibbles. I've done a few different side projects, but we haven't done an episode of this show in over a year.
Yeah, at least
like
over
and
a
2
year.
months,
Yeah.
which is kind of fucking crazy. And even longer before like there was a lead time for that where we had recorded it and it didn't come out for like a month. So it was even longer than that since we recorded.
Yeah, there was a period of time where episodes were still coming out, but we had not recorded shit. And it was just like we were kind of like, we're gonna do something, and it was like, nah, the world's kind of ending.
I think it was hard to justify when everything felt awful.
Yeah.
That being said, some of the stuff we did in the interim was quite fun. But look, today I thought what better way to kind of wrap up this show and kind of send it off in style than to talk about something that is very fitting for us. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of Bo Burnham stuff and it has been some of our more popular content. So I figured to kind of wrap up the show, we would cover, what is in my view, his best work. So this week we're talking about the meaning of Bo Burnham's Inside. So Bo Burnham's Inside is a 2021 Netflix special written, filmed, edited, and performed by Bo Burnham. And it's his first comedy special after quitting stand-up at the end of Make Happy in 2016.
Which he definitely did do. He did quit.
Which he definitely did do, and we were right,
correct.
So fuck you. Anyone in the fucking comments of that fucking video, anybody who sent me emails being like, you're wrong, I fucking told you so. I fucking told you, don't at me after this.
No.
And retrospectively, I realized actually I knew the whole time. And when I said that, I was just goofing on you boys. It's like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. Before we get into the summary, what do you fucking think of this?
Well, because this show, this came out like 6 months ago?
Yeah.
It's been out for a while. I didn't watch it when it came out because the world was ending and I figured don't have time for Bo Burnham. Also, I think I forgot our Netflix password. So for a while, I couldn't get onto Netflix.
Yeah.
So even if I wanted to, I couldn't. But watching it now, it's classic Bo Burnham. I think I was exposed to a lot of these songs through TikTok because I have a horrendous TikTok addiction now. Like most people, I think, except for David. I assume you've avoided it.
I haven't. I'm not even on any social.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
I'm on fucking LinkedIn. And
don't download TikTok. It's the worst mistake I ever made.
Yeah.
So I'd been exposed to all of these songs, so I knew of some of them, but I think the whole thing. It's such a good package, and ironically, I think a lot of people just completely miss the point of.
I would say
of these.
I would say that that's an accurate statement.
Yeah,
particularly given the way people have handled them.
Yeah, and it's. I was saying before, it gives me a lot of the vibes to Childish Gambino's "This Is America," where it's the message is so precise. But then, everyone's just he dances funny.
Yeah, they're completely missing the point.
Yeah, and I think this has a similar thing where it's just people are just oh, it's funny, and he sings funny, and it's a funny show, and you're yeah, but it's really fucking depressing.
I mean, I think also people having that reaction is kind of his point too. That he's look, you see what I'm fucking talking about? There's an element to that which I think is. It's kind of it's validating of the thing he's setting out to say. You know what I mean?
And I think obviously people listen to it. They're not listening to it. I think the messages get through. So I don't think it's a huge issue that it's people are making it go viral. But it maybe it's the kind of thing where people need to think about why it's going viral or how it's going viral and things like that.
And maybe interrogate it a bit more, which is what we're going to do today for as long as this takes.
We're certainly going to try.
This previously, when we did this show, I kept it really tight. I was able to get us down to 40 minutes and execute
No
it.
rules.
I'm so out of practice that I'm not promising
There's
anything.
no chance that this will be tight or concise.
I have 5 pages of notes.
Same. This is the most effort I've ever put into AFA. A little spoiler warning for the previous ones. I put in no fucking work.
Just turned. I did all the fucking work.
Yeah, I just turned up.
What I'm saying?
So, done a lot of work this time.
All right, let's get into the summary and then we can sort of start to pick it apart. So, unable to leave his house due to the pandemic, Bo Burnham embarks on a plan to make an hour-long comedy special in a single room. No audience and no assistants. We follow Robert across a year and change as he creates and delivers the special in chronological sequence, appearing to make a special as he goes. About 2/3 of the way in, Bo reveals his anxiety about finishing the special, and the meta commentary increases as we approach a breaking point. After lamenting the internet in an iconoclastic Bo Burnham tune, Bo discusses the feeling of everything happening at once and delves into the dissociative nature of social media, depression, and the new information era. Bo takes the idea of the Kanye rant from his previous special and leans into it with All Eyes on Me, discussing both his mental health struggles whilst trying to address touring, being inside, and trying to survive 2020. We wrap up the narrative with Bo realizing that he's finished the special, and at the same time, we watch Bo leave the room, mirroring the ending of Make Happy, only this time it's a stage play. Bo, as he's greeted by the audience, is locked out of the room, and an unseen audience laughs at him for trying to return to the room like a fucking idiot. Back inside, Bo watches this on his projector, and as the laughter grows, he smiles and we cut to credits. Seemingly an honest admission that this was all a performance. Or was it? I don't fucking know anymore.
Who even knows?
It's really hard to say, and that's part of what we'll get into.
Yep.
I thought we'd do what we did with the previous Bo Burnham piece and just sort of step through the different bits in chronological sort of sequence.
Yeah, I think it makes most sense.
It helps us break it apart, and obviously, because a lot of these themes build on each other, that seems to make sense to me.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll start with content and comedy, which is the sort of the way this opens. So this is kind of our prelude. I think it's worth noting up the top that this room is, I sort of alluded to it already, but this room is the same room as the one we see at the end of Make Happy, where Bo comes off stage and he's playing a song directly to the audience in this room, and then he goes out of that room, leaving his notebook behind, retiring from comedy, and stepping into the real world for a period.
Yeah.
And what we've now got is he's
back in,
he's
baby.
back in, baby, and he can't leave.
Yeah.
Because you can't leave your house.
Yes.
Because the world ended and is still ending.
Yes.
This sets up a lot of the ideas of the special, in my opinion. It's pretty good table setting. Bo is the sort of person who looks at being inside for a year and shrugs and goes, "It's a problem," but Robert's already depressed, so what difference is it going to make?
Yeah.
And comedy lays out a lot of the recurring bits, and especially I think what we end up with as this song and the first little bits of the sequence fall into place is we set the table for this being really odd as far as like structurally it's very weird. We spend a lot of the special seeing him make the special or seeming to make the special. Like there are sort of three layers of abstraction at work. There's the actual performance of the songs and the bits. Then there's the performance of performing them. Mm-hmm. And then there's presumably somewhere outside of that, Bo actually making it.
Yeah, and even inside, there's different layers of what you perceive to be sort of like real Bo moments, and even those, they're sort of, you're kind of watching me like yeah, but are they like?
Yeah,
because from like a creation perspective, something like this would take, it's believable that something like this would take up to a year to make. And he's sort of like within the narrative of the show, he sort of says that it takes him about a year to make it, or at least more than a year to make it. There's, this is only an hour and a half long. Like there's so much that you don't see. And I think we've talked about this in previous Burnham episodes. Like there's so much you don't see that you really can't create like a full image of his character from just what you see on screen, but you kind of get a pretty good insight. And I think a lot of it kind of ties into the fact that everyone knows what the time period was like where this was created. So even if you aren't being given like a full perspective of like, this is what Bo Burnham is like, this is how he makes things, what was happening, like especially in the US, like what happened over that time period, so you can still glean like a little bit of information of like, like after working on it for a year, you'd be kind of end of 2020, like everyone knows how they felt at the end of 2020.
Not good.
Not great.
Yeah, and that's sort of the point, right? Which is that there are all of these terrible things happening, right? Like war, genocide, and then he starts off the special by saying there's nothing to joke about. Like, who is really interested in comedy at a time like this? And there's that line, should I be joking at a time like this, comes back later. But I also think at a time like this has multiple meanings, like you're alluding to, right? It's Bo referring to the pandemic. It's referring to like the world ending through global warming, which he touches on. But it's also on an interpersonal level, right? It's this sensation of, when you're in the peak wave of like depression and anxiety, the last thing you want to do is joke, but often that's the only thing you can do.
Yeah. And I think linked to like the pandemic stuff, you had a lot of sentiment of like, you know, when the world's ending, the only people that really matter are like doctors and nurses and like people who are actually like doing work to saving people's lives. And so if you're a comedian, and like a lot of people sort of did this, where it's just like, well, how can I help as a script writer, or how can I help as like a YouTuber? And it's like you kind of can't
sit down and shut up. Actually,
and I feel like this song kind of ties into that, where it's just like, yeah, where it's like, I'm gonna, you know, as a comedian, I'm gonna save the world with comedy, and it's very tongue in cheek, just where it's like, no, actually, you're probably not going to. Like,
yeah. I mean, my favorite line there is making a literal difference metaphorically, which is just fucking brilliant. And you know, the irony, of course, is that in Bo investing in making this thing, he probably did help a lot of people.
He probably did, which is kind of, it's that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, it's when you have a society that's falling apart, being like trying to maintain society is probably the most you can do, unless you're actually like fighting.
Well, and this is the thing, right? We saw this, which is during that year and change, right? The which I cannot believe it was that long. I also can't believe it's been that long since. But during that whole time period, what was everyone doing? They were locked inside watching fucking Netflix.
Yeah.
So even though, you know, these entertainers, and we saw, you know, an explosion in Twitch, you know, their value almost tripled in a single calendar year. You saw all of these platforms where performers were able to keep creating their art become really central to people's lives, because there's nothing else to do. And if you're not someone that creates things, if you're a consumer, then all you have to do is consume. And it's sort of this idea of, and we'll touch on it as we get into sort of the middle part, because it comes back in a big way when we get to some of his songs about derealization. But the idea that the real world ceased to exist for a while, and all there was content. And he's sort of singing about that at the top here, like, you know, the you know, I got you your favorite thing content, and then he's talking about, you know, how this white guy is going to save the world with comedy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's tongue in cheek, but also it's an honest admission that like someone has to do it.
Yeah, and I think there's a few honest admissions in this with Bo in particular, which we'll probably get into once we roll up to them.
Oof, yeah. Okay, let's talk about FaceTime with my mum tonight. It's very funny. It's just a good joke.
I feel like every now and then we're gonna get up to a song where it's just like, this song's just funny.
It's just funny.
Like, this song's just a dunk. Like, I don't think you can really get much out of this except for like, it's topical. I think some of these songs are, and like, we'll probably dive into this more because I think you know more about this. It's like, some of these songs, they feel like they were written before all of this was like going to happen. Like, they feel like they were written for like an actual live show, or a return to doing live shows, as he like alludes to. And it was just like, well, I've got the material, I may as well just like record it, put it in. I feel like FaceTiming your mom is like, it's definitely like topical. It definitely seems like something that was written really early in the pandemic, where people were like, it'll be over in 6 months.
Yeah, it has that
vibe of like, oh, it's just jokey because, you know, FaceTime with your mom.
Well, it probably was written in the first 6 months of the pandemic.
Oh, like 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's the thing. Before the reality of just like, like, oh dear. And which is, I feel like, part of the like the latest stuff in the special. It kind of gets more like, it
gets real black, dark shit.
And so like, I think some of the songs are just like, it's funny. It was probably written before. It's almost like it's like dramatic irony.
Yes,
you're just like, oh, that's cute. You're complaining about having to FaceTime people.
You ain't even seen shit yet.
It's like, so you're you're early in the time.
Yeah, you're young.
This is early Bo. This is pre like cursed Bo.
Things haven't gone completely wrong yet.
Right. Yeah.
I also just like that it's such a mundane thing. But that's how boring lockdown got, that this was like an interesting thing to joke about.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing else happening.
Yeah.
And you know,
it's at that boredom phase. You're like, before the novelty, like when the novelty is worn off and you're just kind of bored, and before the existentialism kicks in.
There is no way we can monetize this. We've said the word pandemic like 50 times.
Oh no, it's just there we go.
No, God damn it. Bleep that out. I think we can kind of, we can breeze through this one because I don't think there's too much there. But there's also a bit of a commentary sneaking in about, this sort of no added value navel gazing that's become the lowest common denominator for entertainment. Like the idea of isn't FaceTiming with your mom funny is like not a clever thing to joke about. And I think that's like, there is a level of this of Bo being like, look at how fucking, look, this is how bored everyone is, that our lowest common denominator is she puts her, her hands over the fucking camera. Yeah. And that's a joke.
Yeah.
Like that's just nothing. And we'll get into that with the next bit, because then things get weird, and we really get into like the proper spin of it. So what follows off the back of that is How the World Works, which is a reference to Hans Tuin, who I can never say his name right, Tuin, who's a Dutch absurdist, who has a pretty similar act where he employs hand puppets, but obviously really different context. Bo's, referenced him throughout his career as a big inspiration. Yeah. Does a lot of similar kind of like cabaret one-man show kind of things. You're clearly, a bit of an inspiration there. This puppet's just really goddamn funny though. It starts a rant about, commercialization and like the kind of the collapsing inward of the layers of abstraction of the market, and history being built on blood and shit.
Well, I think this song is like the premise of this song is like how does the world work, and then presented from like the naturalistic side of just like how does like ecology function, like how do we exist in a biological sense, and then with the puppet sort of bringing in the just like here's how the world works from a societal, or at least societal currently, because obviously like, there's been different societies and different ways of living, and it presents a real just like, it's kind of just like the cliff notes of society.
It's a bit of history, isn't it?
I think like this is something I'll probably bring up later, but like this isn't necessarily new information. Like none of what the puppet says is like super groundbreaking. It's just here it all is, and
it's presented very matter of fact,
yes,
but through the lens of this very weird bit. Like it's not
it is a very weird bit.
Yeah, it's like it gets your attention, and then it's like, okay, here is all of that information, and then it twists it a little bit with the idea of the puppet going into like this liminal space anytime that he takes. That's so funny to me. That I like the idea that the puppet is just like constantly in fear of not being on his hand, like some like Toy Story when the kids aren't looking, the toys are dead type shit. Like it's a lot.
And again, this could have been written pre-pandemic as well.
Yeah, this feels absent.
This feels like, because some of these songs are like classic Bo, where it's like kind of just like juxtapose like fun, fruity, and like entertaining with like reality.
This feels very much in tune with something like Andy the Frog from where it's sort of, it's this fairy tale that meets reality, where it's like, one day the frog was blah, 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 and then like at the end he gets shot by a hunter with the rifle. Like it's like, it just has that kind of classic Bo edge to it that I think, is a really, really strong characterization for him as a performer, which I think is important given how much of this is about performing. I think it sets the tone well for what we see next, where we go, okay, we understand there is it communicates to the audience who maybe don't know his work too well that there is an aspect of not just performance, but performative authenticity here, where he's being very real through the lens of this puppet thing. And that's something that Bo will continue to do throughout the special, and then take it to he'll turn it to 11 later on.
Yeah, Bo plays like the villain in a lot of these songs.
Yes.
Like there's some, like different to his previous work, which is a lot of sort of like self-reflection, or like kind of like purposefully not playing a villain, but like playing a caricature of like something in society. This one is like, he's a bad guy in a lot of these songs.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense to me, because I think he stepped away for so long, and he did all these other things, and I think there's a level of like
are we the baddies?
Yeah, there's a level of like, are we doing the wrong thing here? But then it's also like there's nothing else to do, and that it's like, are we the baddies? But like, was there any other way that this was going to go? Yeah.
which
Exactly.
happens. This is all very much stuff that happens at the end of the special,
Oh,
but
we'll
it's
get
like,
there.
we're getting there. Like,
It's it gets really meaty and introspective later. Then we then have an aside, which is the brand consulting bit, which tackles the whole like woke brand.
Yes, it's the H Bomber guy video of woke brands distilled in like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad. Like, it doesn't mean like, and again, like a lot of this stuff where it's like, this isn't new information, but it's like, it's presented in like an interesting way or an entertaining way. And it's like, you're adding it to the pile. A lot of this stuff is like building up, or it's just like, hey, be aware of this, be aware of this. These are all like arguments for his overall thesis.
Yes, and when we get to what that is, I mean, I
We'll get there. We're really getting there. It just happens to be at the very end.
Well, I also don't know that it's that complex, but I mean, the undertone of this is pretty straightforward, right? And I think it plants the seed for the Bezos stuff later. But
yeah, a lot of this like threads in and out because surprise. Intersectionality is a thing.
It's almost like it's what Bo's always done. I mean, the idea that all of these brands are vocal on their socials and in their content about social change while doing things like actively not paying taxes or hiring like the literal Pinkertons to union bust your Amazon stores or making propaganda with Emily Blunt about the first lady Pinkerton and streaming it on Amazon Prime or suing Rockstar because of their accurate or suing Rockstar because of their accurate portrayal of the Pinkertons in Red Dead Redemption 2 because they were worried it would make them look bad. It was historically accurate and they said, no, we're going to sue you because it makes us look bad because you're just doing history. That's fucking crazy to me. It's wild to me that we still, when we see that shit, when they're putting it out there and they're saying, oh, we're against this, we're against that, we think that we should have equality and shit, while underpaying people, while not paying taxes that could feed the fucking homeless, that could solve so many of society's problems. It's monstrously obvious when you spend more than a few minutes thinking about it, but it's so easy not to.
I'm looking at David's notes here, and it's just a bigger fucking paragraph about the Pinkertons.
It's crazy.
Oh, don't worry. There's a song later on that struck a nerve with me. We'll get there, but yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't understand 90% of that,
It's
but
fine.
yes.
It's fine. It's all I've been thinking about the last few weeks. It's off the back of some of this. There's some interesting like politics happening at the moment in the employment, the industrial relations space. In America, a bunch of miners.
As in like dig hole miners?
As in dig hole miners went on this like huge protest. They stood down from work to protest their working conditions and employment, and the news actively avoided covering it. And then
there's been a few instances of these like union busting lawyers going around. I think Activision have hired some union busters to deal with their allegations with Blizzard.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. So they literally, Amazon and them, literally like the union busters they're hiring are literally the Pinkertons. Like they've just changed their name.
Right.
It's crazy, man. And what we're going to see, I think, in the coming sort of next 10 years as this stuff continues to come to a head is we're going to see a lot of facile arguments about why unions are bad and why, and there'll be very emotional arguments that hold no rhetorical weight about like why it's bad for you as an individual to stand down from work or to stand up for your rights.
Yeah.
And we're going to see that be promoted by all of the mainstream media outlets because it benefits them.
Yeah.
And because the people that pay their fucking bills and the people that pay their paychecks are the same people that are union busted.
Well, it needs to happen in the next 7 because there's only 7 years left.
There's only 7 years to go. Next song is White Woman's Instagram. It's
just another funny one.
It's just very funny.
My takeaway from this, as I was watching it, was just like this destroys like modern model photography. Mm-hmm. So like if I've kind of been around the space a bit recently, and my sister does it. Like my sister does photography kind of as like her main income at the moment, and like she's really good at sort of like model photography, partly because she's just like has an eye for this kind of thing, but kind of like in viewing the space, there's a lot of like, I guess like trends or like just things that heaps of people are doing. And this like the video for this just fucking destroys all of them.
That's pretty
like the soft coloring, like the pastel colors, the massive bokeh, like shooting was wide open so you get as shallow a depth of field as possible. Having like little like props dangling things from the sky, doing things with color, doing things with light, high contrast, low contrast, like all the like kind of like modern like photography tricks that like heaps of people are doing now. It's like super popular. Bo's just like, I'm gonna just end this entire industry.
I'm gonna wreck you fools.
I'm gonna destroy this entire industry. I like literally like you watch this music video and you're like, oh, that's a really cool shot. Can't do that anymore. It has been ruined. Like the one with like the flower like taped to the wall and then like the hand shadow coming across. I'm watching. I'm like, that's really cool.
Can't do it.
Can't do it anymore.
Gone.
It's ruined. Gone. No one can do that anymore.
I will say what's interesting about it is the level of attention to detail of capturing so many different trends means that while Bo is both making fun of it, he clearly is like deep in the rabbit
Well, that's
hole.
the thing. It's like it's so
I mean?
well done. Like they're all like all these like kind of like meant to be like tongue in cheeks like takedowns of all these trends. They're executed perfectly.
Yeah, he clearly is addicted to these fucking trends. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you don't get that level of detail and depth without being a participant, at least, you know, partially.
Yeah, and like the bit where he's like his face is like covered in the writing and he's got the two sides. It's like he had to do that. Like in a mirror. Drawing on it, like that's difficult.
Hard work. Well, I mean, he could have just got his partner, but like, yes, like I'm sure that
in the
lore of the special, I guess
in the mythos he did himself.
Yeah,
but
in the mythology of the special, lore doesn't exist. So,
yes.
Which is I didn't mean to say lore first. Her name is lore. It doesn't matter. Look. The next bit is one of my favorites, and it just honestly like this sounds like something I've yelled like on our podcast before.
Yeah,
which is can anyone shut the fuck up? Like that rant I've literally done. I feel like I've done that rant on this show.
Is that the one where it's like can anyone shut the fuck for one second?
Fuck up for about anything.
For that like on second watch, that entire bit is he's taken a single sentence. Like can anyone shut the fuck up about anything for 1 minute? And he's expanded it into a bit that goes for like a minute and a half.
Yeah, I know.
Which is just like very good comedy.
It's very good comedy, but then it's also so I have so many notes on this because I
wow, it literally goes for a minute and a half.
Yeah, I've got paragraphs.
Oh, he has paragraphs.
Okay, it's because what happened? So what happened was I was watching this the other night, and I was a little bit. I've been having a few beers. You know what I'm saying? I have a few beers.
My notes on this, I've just written down what happens because I was just like, oh.
Look, I had a few beers and I finished watching it, and I was on the phone with this girl I've been seeing, and I was talking about it because it sort of was really interesting.
Yes.
And we got into talking about the resolution of Make Happy, and then my brain exploded and I wrote all this down. So toward the resolution of Make Happy, in his monologue before their actual Kanye rant, Bo says, quote, "They say it's the me generation. It's not.
It's not. The arrogance is taught, or it was cultivated. It's self-conscious. That's what it is. It's conscious of self.
Social media, it's just the market's answer to a generation that demanded to perform. So the market said, here, perform. Perform everything to each other all the time for no reason. It's prison. It's horrific. It's performer and audience melded together.
What do we want more than to lie in our bed at the end of the day and just watch our life as a satisfied audience member? I know very little about anything, but what I do know is that if you can live your life without an audience, you should do it."
End quote. And I think this is an extension of that argument.
Hi, welcome to the last episode of Apparatus.
Welcome to the last episode of It's All Going to Be This, baby. So here I think if we want to access the most basic form of this continual argument that he's making, the idea that we should all learn to shut up often, I think is the key here. So I think we should, at its core, what he's saying is we should strive to be under-observed and find a healthy balance of information and decision-making. But you can see Bo laying, in my view, this is a really clear brief. In a minute and a half, he's laying out the thesis for what's going to happen later. And he's basically taking everything he's done up until that point. So all of the commentary around the, work labor ethics, the way that history kind of whitewashes and manipulates things, all of that comes together here in this kind of middle juncture before we kind of then move into the back half. And he's basically going, look, all I'm saying is we need to get better at understanding when we should listen to people that know what the fuck they're talking about. And in my research for this episode, as a result of this, I came across this study, which was published in Scientific Reports. Which Scientific Reports is not the most reputable journal, but the sources they reference.
It's a journal.
Yeah, and I went through some.
Peer-reviewed.
It was peer-reviewed, but I went through some of their sources and But I want to read you this. So basically, they did the study. on mice where they tested mice who were overstimulated and then mice who were regularly
The
stimulated
best human analog.
to see
the rats.
We'll get to that to see like how cognitively they would perform.
Right.
So I'll just read you a quote from the conclusion part of that, which is quote. We developed and tested a mouse model of overstimulation whereby 10 mice were subjected to audio, 70 decibels, and visual stimulation, flashing lights, for 6 hours per day for a total of 42 days.
Oh, good lord. That's a lot. It's a full-time job.
Now, this is the bit that's crazy. 10 days later, cognition and behavior were... So 10 days after that 42 days, cognition and behavior were tested using the following tests: light, dark, latency. There's a maze, novel objection. These are all like pretty
Standard
common.
rat tests.
Exactly. In all tests, overstimulated mice perform significantly worse compared to controls, suggesting increased activity and risk damage, diminishing both short-term memory and decreasing cognitive function. Their conclusions are a bit salacious. These findings suggest that excessive, non-normative stimulation during critical periods of brain development can have demonstrable untoward effects on subsequent neurocognitive
I mean, that's
function.
a big jump from like distracted rat data maze to
It's a lot.
developmental and kids. Like, well, I feel like there's a study in between there you should do.
And he does, you know, the researchers go on to suggest this needs more research. But the one bit that I thought was really fascinating in context with what Bo is addressing here is this statement from it was during the discussion piece. Quote. It appears then that a coherent model whereby early experiences establish neuronal circuits or habits of the mind can either enhance or impede subsequent performance may be emerging. End quote. What that basically means is that the early interpretation and practice you get at passing stimulus will either enhance or diminish future performance when exposed to stimulus.
So it might be good, might be bad.
Well, the idea is that when your brain is forming, if you are overstimulated constantly, you are going to get worse at processing stimulus.
Right.
And that's like, it seems fucking obvious, right?
It does a little bit.
Kids now, like their brains are fucking poisoned by their phones. I don't think that's a contentious thing for anybody to say.
No.
But the idea that you can start to measure that is going to be really interesting. It's kind of scary. It's like the notion of you can. This is again a rant I've done before, but the notion that you can consume that much information and still learn how to adequately process it is obviously not going to happen if you've grown up with that overstimulation. We got lucky in that we came into it late enough.
Yeah, and like now, as I mentioned, my previous and current and ongoing TikTok addiction. It's like, I can't imagine having this as a kid. Like,
No.
It's like, I might go into this later because sort of with one of the later songs, but it's like, TikTok's scary, like with how it presents itself, how it presents its content. It's like, yeah, it's like the level of stimulation is insane. Like because it's different. Like you're not just kind of like consuming your friends' content or like the people you subscribe to or like random people on Twitter. It's like you are just consuming content.
Yeah.
Like whatever the algorithm decides you will like, and like it's kind of scary how good it is at being like, I know you like this, I'm going to give you more of it.
And you know,
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying, and because what ends up happening is that, you know, the end result of all of this is that the internet is making everybody like overstimulated. That's not too outlandish to say.
Yeah.
But the other kind of natural consequence is that people are becoming more conscious of the self in the context of events that do not concern them. Right? It's not about whether or not that content is good. It's about what you thought of that content.
Yeah.
It matters. The fucking truth of it. I'm sorry if this is the first time anyone's ever said this to you. If you're listening to this, it matters very little what you individually think or say about Afghanistan or climate change.
Ooh, spicy.
It matters very little what you individually think about Donald Trump or US politics. Buying green is a fucking waste of time until we make legislative change. The idea that composting or being a fucking vegetarian is making a difference is the problem. This notion that social media has conveyed, which is that individual action equates to collective progress, is complete bullshit. And it's sold to you by people who are trying to sell you ads. Like it's tricking a generation of people into believing that going to a march about climate change is the same thing as supporting actual political change or voting or picking up your fucking wallet and making a decision. Your opinion on world issues are meaningless, and everyone needs to learn to shut the hell up and just listen for like 10 minutes For like 10 minutes, just listen. Because if you listen for 10 minutes, there are people out there, weirdly enough, the weirdest fucking people you'd ever imagine. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of the most knowledgeable people on climate change. He speaks eloquently about it. And when he talks, he suggests things that would make a difference. Like actual policy changes that would enforce things that need to happen for our planet to not fucking die. And instead what we do is we put people on the news or the morning talk shows who teach you about composting, or they tell you not to use a plastic bag at the grocery store, use a hemp bag. Those are all good things to do, but they don't make a difference.
Yeah, there is that idea where it's like, if someone's like, oh, you need to do this, or it's like you need to buy an electric vehicle. That's like a big one currently.
Yeah.
It's like you need to get an EV if you want to save the planet. And it's like, okay, counterpoint, we should make everyone get EVs. Like I shouldn't have to get an EV. I should be forced to get an EV.
Yes.
Because that's actual change.
Well, yes. And that, like, you know, in Australia in particular, there's this big...
So hard to get EVs here.
Really hard to get. There's a big argument about, well, what could we do that would be sustainable and make a difference? Enforce, like, we are one of the hottest countries on the planet. Solar panels, duh. Easy. Just put them fucking everywhere. I know they're expensive and the polymer's hard to get, but they're making that increasingly efficient, and they're making the output of that and the yield from that increasingly more efficient. Wind fucking turbines. We have half of our country, like most of our populace, are on the coast. There's so much wind.
It's a lot of wind.
We don't have to move that electricity great distances. The battery problem is no longer a problem because we're all fucking distributed anyway, because the world changed. Like I think what it comes down to, and this is the thesis that then gets unpacked throughout the rest of this special, is that when he's saying shut the fuck up, what he's really saying is all of that at once. It's all of that concatenated together to a very simple punchy message.
Yeah, it's like screaming on Twitter isn't gonna save the planet.
No.
Like you're just gonna annoy people on Twitter.
Yeah, that's not how you make change.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, look, let's move on because I could yell about that for hours. Next bit is the unpaid intern, which is, first of all, a bopper.
But it's also just calling us out. It's just an attack on us. Hello, we are the third layer of that.
Sorry, Pat.
That reaction analysis. It's the unpaid intern song. It's just a joke.
Yeah,
it's just dunking on rich people. Shapiro's is most of the special.
Yeah, I mean, and this, you know, the idea of this non-value additive content as well comes back.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the last episode of
reaction.
At least we're not reacting.
Yeah, I've always drawn some kind of flimsy line, and that we do try and create value, inherent, absent the original material. I think that's more evident when it's something. I think that's more evident when it's something that we covered that genuinely doesn't have a lot going on.
Right.
And we're able to create some meaning from it.
We'll pull something out of it. We'll figure something out.
I always found a way. I don't know how. But yeah, it's very funny. And also the again, you know, that rant we were just talking about from Make Happy, where it's the melding of audience and creator. That's what's happening here. You know, quite literally the notion. And there's this great clip. I might splice it in of I think it's like some famous streamer. I think Ludwig. And he's talking about these two streamers, like two other streamers, and he's saying like they just never create any content of value. All they ever do is react to other people's videos, and then it punches back, and it's him watching them react to his video.
I just feel like their content ends up being too lazy a lot of the time, and when they could be doing something cool, they end up just watching content and reacting to it rather than making their own.
Talent.
They could be doing something cool, they end up just watching. No! I rest my case.
And he's like, fucking got you. Like, they're reacting to his content as he's saying that. And it's like,
That's so good.
It's just like, it's so good. But
I think I've seen that, like, I've seen something, I've like seen two streamers watching each other's stream, and they're just like talking back and forth. It's fucking dumb.
Yeah. But that's like, it doesn't, there's no value you're creating. It's almost sort of, it's that lowest common. And I'm not knocking people that enjoy that. I just think we should strive for better. I think we should strive for art. I think that's the worthy thing to keep pursuing, and there are people still doing it. And it's just a really good call out.
Welcome to the last episode of AFA.
Yeah, this is where I get to. It's all of my postulating gets to come out. Next, we've got Bezos 1.
This is just dunking on rich people.
It's just the rich people.
There's really nothing to the song. I've linked this to other bits, but like this is just dunking on rich people.
Yeah. And it's quite elegant too.
It's fun.
Yeah. It's fun. It's
Jeffrey
also
Bezos.
just like, Bezos seems like the worst.
Oh, I mean, like,
So-
well, like, would this came out before like big penis spaceship Bezos went to space? Yeah. So it's like it's gotten worse. Like it hasn't gotten.
No, it was never going to get better.
If anything, this goaded him into being more of a fuckwit.
It's possible.
Yeah. And so like all the big names in that song, who's he references? Like Bezos, Musk. Did he reference Musk?
I don't know.
Come on, Jeffrey, you can do it. Pave your way, put you back. Fuck, I don't know.
They're all the
song
same.
stuck in my head.
They're all the same white guy.
Zuckerberg and fuck.
I feel like Katzenberg rhymes with Zuckerberg, but he didn't say Katzenberg, so
He references like Warren Buffett as well. Like there's some
Yeah.
deep cut rich people in that song.
there's a lot of rich people in the world. I mean, obviously, this is just basically like someone tells us they're being mistreated, and then it just becomes a spectacle, and then rich people get away with shit.
Yeah.
It's not that complex.
Yeah.
Then we get what is a very fun like classic Bo song, which is Sexting.
Well, before that, there's him lying on the floor.
Oh, I did skip that.
talking
I haven't.
about big media
Yeah.
companies. That's just Bo dropping some knowledge.
Again, it comes back to what we were talking about before: the idea that we just let this happen to people,
Yeah.
and that no one has stopped it.
And then he says he's horny. Then we get into the sexting.
Yeah,
song.
well, and what's interesting then is that he's doing the thing that he said that everyone else does. Like it's kind of like making fun of, like there's an irony to it because he's saying, look, these people, like there are people who are being mistreated by these fucking rich people, and these rich people are keeping us all down.
Yeah.
And we treat it like a spectacle, like, oh, isn't it cute that they're all weird and aloof and shit, and how crazy these rich people.
Yeah.
And then he's talking about real shit, and then makes a spectacle out of sexting. I don't know. It's just like it's a nice mirror.
Yeah.
It's good doubling. Yeah, I don't have anything written down for sexting. I just thought it was really funny.
My only takeaway from that was like the big wall of text that appears in.
Yeah,
Like
did you
halfway through the
jot
song?
any of that down?
Oh, I read the whole thing. I didn't write it down, but my sort of take. So the big wall of text, it's like meant to be like a message that he's like obviously sending the person that he's like sexting throughout the song. And the gist of the text is like, it's like, oh, like no pressure if you want to stop or anything, that's fine. Like I know I say that I want things, but that's totally like based on the fact that you're willing to give them. Don't feel pressured into giving me things just because I'm asking for them. I don't want this to feel like a one-sided like power dynamic, blah blah. It's like it's a big like fucking like just letting it all out. My sort of takeaway from that is just like seems like this real big expression of like male guilt that is kind of popping up recently, where it's like you're seeing a lot of like in the news like people being shitheads, and it's 99 times out of 10 it's dudes, and it's, you know, especially with like, you know, like guys pressuring girls to do things that they don't want to do. And like, especially with the whole like Me Too movement and everything, or like people like leaking news or shit like that, like all this gross stuff. And it almost feels like he's like, he wants to be like sexual because he's horny. He tells us that in the song.
Yeah.
And he's sexting with someone. He's like, hell yeah, send me your titties. And like they do, but then he's like, oh, I've just like have I just elicited nudes from someone? And it can be, you know, it can be hard to be like, oh, am I pressuring someone to like do something, or are they actually like willing? And it dives into, I guess it like related to like consent and everything like that. But like a lot of people kind of find it hard to be like, how do you do like unspoken consent? Or like, what if someone isn't like explicitly giving consent because like they don't feel the need to give consent because they're just like, yeah, it's fine, I'll send you a picture of my boobs. And it's like, am I pressuring you? Like, it really was just like, it seems like just like a big expression of that, which I guess is like a thing.
And part of I think part of the issue that, or part of the underlying kind of thread of that is then it becomes complex of like, well, how do you be sexual if part of what that other person might want sexually is particularly from someone who is more masculine, like they might want that sense of like domination or some of those masculine traits.
Yeah.
But it's like, but then you need to balance
like,
that with the consent piece. So then, but then that can take away from the thing
the
that
enjoyment.
And
yes.
so and there's this kind of like, it's a very multi-layered thing. And
then it's compounded with the difficulties of the fact that this is sexting as like digital sex.
it's like remote. It's weird, man.
Yeah. And I almost feel like this links back to the FaceTime song.
It
where
does.
It's like,
yeah.
it's just like being, and even later to like the references he makes to like the, you know, the digital space is safer than the real world. And it's like, this song is really just like, yeah, it might be like fun and sexting's interesting. You sect with only emojis and it's like, it's a bit quirky and fun. And like, she sends the snowman, you're like, crisis averted, but like, you're still communicating with another human being.
Yeah.
And like the digital aspects makes it just like hard.
Yeah, well, it's that remote kind of. It's weird, man. Like, because I'm in a remote relationship at the moment. It's weird. It's so weird.
I cannot imagine.
It's so weird.
I've managed to avoid being like long distance or like remote in a relationship. Like, I just can't imagine.
It's very strange. There are aspects to it that are easier sometimes. Like I think the biggest thing, and she and I have been talking about this a little bit lately. The thing that's obviously hard to do, or the thing that is often missing, is that when you're doing those things, you're often like you're always communicating, but you lack that ability to just exist in the same space. Like you can't just be in a room together necessarily, because when you're interacting, it's like a deliberate communication.
Yeah, you can't be like alone together.
Yes, and that's what's interesting to me about the where all this folds together is the way that you build up the thing you were alluding to, which is like that unspoken consent where both of you understand where each other are and kind of what those limits are and things like that. That comes from picking up like subtextual cues and nonverbals and stuff, which you can't do in the digital space.
Like if you're like sitting on the couch and your partner walks in naked, that is a very like nonverbal consent of you can look at my boobs.
Yes.
It's like, you're like, okay, because they've like obviously they've presented it, and you're like, okay, cool. It's different to like an unsolicited dick pic, which is just like abrasive and abrupt and like, good lord, what the fuck? I'm not like I'm at work. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're in a space where it's like there's like things you can do, and it's like you have sort of that unspoken, nonverbal kind of just like within this space kind of consent. You can't get online. You can't really get remotely. Like it's harder.
Yeah, and there's an aspect of all of this folding together, which is that there is a level of flattening of information that happens in the digital space, and a level of nuance is inherently erased in some sense. And so it can be quite hard to maintain nuance. That's part of why I think it's part of why I don't necessarily blame individual people for what we're seeing with like the sort of lowest common denomination of content. I don't necessarily blame the audience members, because it's not really their fault that it's easier to convey things that are big, loud, and obnoxious, or exciting, or arousing, rather than things that are like subtextual or have a lot of nuance. And so I think in this space, and what makes this song really work, is that there is a moment at the end where he's like, it's just me fucking alone again. And it's really like, I've had those moments where I'll hang up the phone after talking for like 4 or 5 hours and like flirting, and then I'm like, and I just like, I look around my empty flat and I'm like, fuck, like, and it's not, you know, one of us would move if we could, but obviously with the pandemic at the moment, you know, she can't leave the state she's in, and you know, I can't go into that state. So, but it was just this like that moment of like you hang up or the interaction's over and you're like, that's the realest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That really struck a chord with me when we were watching that before. Then we get another good YouTuber joke, which is "Thank you for your support, but with a knife."
Oh yeah, I've just written this content creator, but with a knife.
Yeah, my entire heading is "Thank you for your support with a knife." There's no notes.
Yeah, and the same. I have no notes. For me, it's just like it's literally just content creator, but with a knife.
But I mean,
and it's completely different.
The obvious like subtext is that usually they guilt or they trick you or they threaten.
They have you at like knife point, right?
Yeah,
he would have done it with a gun, but he probably just doesn't have a gun.
Yes,
so he does it with a knife.
And it's like that's probably like a knife seems in better taste. It's also funnier.
It is kind of funnier.
Yeah. And weirdly, a gun feels like out of Bo's wheel. I feel like that's tonally inconsistent. I don't know why.
Yeah, because you'd be like, why do you have a gun?
Yeah, that'd be
Bo, what are you going to do with that gun?
Yeah. Bo, what are you going to do with that gun? Put the gun down, Bo.
Put the gun down, Bo? You shouldn't be allowed to have a gun. Yeah, it would be like a cry for help, but the knife is just funny.
The knife is pretty funny. Yeah, that's actually the difference. Yeah, a knife is just funny, whereas a gun is a cry for help. You've hit the nail on the thumb with that one. That's good. Look who's inside again.
Oh, I mean, that's...
Fucking beautiful.
It's a good song, but we talked about, and I think you have a you mentioned you had a reason for this. When he finishes it, this is sort of like one of the fourth wall break songs where it's like you're seeing him not perform it, but like create it.
Yeah.
Because he sort of starts it and then he's like, no, fuck that take. I took a big breath. And he records it again. And I'm pretty sure it's like the exact same take. Like it's not even different.
Yeah.
But then he finishes the song ends, and then he's just like, all right, one more time.
So
and it just cuts away.
So I have this thing which I've observed with his work, and this it'll kind of fold into the particularly after the intermission and things get dark. Yeah. The idea that that nothing Bo does is authentic. Everything is a performance, right? Yes. He has this commentary in, I think it's Make Happy or in what, where he's like, everything up here is fucking staged. Like there is nothing authentic about it.
Yeah.
But that admission is authentic. And I think, Look Who's Inside again, obviously he's referring to his childhood, right? When he was a kid and he would hide in his room and make jokes and stuff. Now he's doing the same thing because he's forced to. But I think he's always done it.
Yeah.
Like this, really what he's saying is that in this repetition of creating the same thing, because that's what he does in all his other specials, right? He's so exacting in his timing. There's no room for improvisation. He's always been hiding in his room. Always. Because his performance is him hiding from the world.
Right.
It's him being out there and interacting and providing value, but he's hiding within the confines of this repetition and this practiced kind of staged performance. And I think that's why we see that obviously the take be the same the second time, but then he's like one more and then we don't see it because that's what he's always doing when we're not looking.
I think as well, there's also at the very end, this song gets a reference. It's quite a big like moment, but we'll probably get to that. But yeah, there's three songs at the very end of this, which get like replayed, remixed in a sense into the last song. And this is one of them, and I think it's the most important one.
Yes.
But we'll come back to that when we get to it.
Yeah. Cool. Next one is Problematic, which is where Bo is basically lamenting.
Between these, there is a shot of him watching his first YouTube video on a projector.
Yeah. So this is, I think
this is sort of a meta narrative, comes in later.
Yeah.
But I also think it's him watching what kicked off his career, basically. So he's watching the YouTube video of his like first viral sensation on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which like is what led to him here.
It's why
he's here inside making this special. And I kind of later on, I think there's some like reference to it as well, being sort of like him just like watching his career run by in front of his eyes.
Yeah, and you know, if you're a creative person and you create things, this is something that we've all done. Like when you're in a really fucking weird dark place and you go back
when
and
it's the weird part of the night, it's like 3 a.m. and you're like, I should watch that weird Pokemon Let's Play I did.
And it just like,
and you're like, this is weird, but you just keep watching it.
And it's something I've been thinking a lot about. So I just finished watching Dave season 2, which is Little Dickie's TV show.
Yeah, and
a big theme of that is this idea that you, as a creative person, you kind of write, you're always portraying who you are at that point in time, and you end up sort of like writing yourself out of reality a lot of the time, where it's like you can no longer tell what was a performance and what felt authentic at the time.
Right, yeah.
And there's this navel gaziness that I think can come across as insincere, that I think is the opposite of watching your old content. Because really what you're doing is you're trying to work out like, what the fuck happened? How did I get here? Like, how the fuck, like, why am I this now? And it's this forensic piece of archaeology. It's like creative archaeology of going back through the body of your work and trying to piece together the little iterative decisions you made along the way that get you here. Like when I go back and watch stuff, you know, there's a point in time where, you know, Patrick starts producing the show and things change, and like there are all of these junctures and markers, but it's not those that led to here. It's all of the bits in between. And going back through that stuff is really, it's a forensic analysis of the bits in between. And so it's no surprise that it's a bit in between a bit where this happens, right? It's kind of that doubling of, as he's going through and doing this, there's nothing else to do in lockdown but think about your fucking life.
Oh, yeah.
And retread your career over and over again, which everybody did that.
It's literally all we did.
That's why so many people like quit their jobs, you know, when lockdown ended, and went did other things and quit relations. Like everybody had a year.
Everyone had something.
Everyone had a fucking year of self-reflection to be like, what the fuck am I doing on this planet?
God, yeah.
And it's fortunately horrifying that when you're a creative person, you have something outside yourself that you can go back and
I think there's also a song later on that like touches on this, which we'll get. It's like one of the last songs, and I think it's a big like. Yeah, we'll get to it. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Powering through.
So Problematic is obviously a direct follow-on from this, where he's singing about how, he used to do these quite tasteless jokes. It's weird he hasn't been cancelled.
Yeah, like that first song he made where he went viral has not aged well.
No, and there's some other stuff. There's some stuff later in that same special, that first CD, where you're like, oh, this is
bad.
Yeah, there's like some real ableist humor, and there's a lot of gay jokes.
And it's funny because in the first song when he's about the comedy one, there's like those whiteboards and stuff. There's this flow chart that he has where it's like, is it funny? And it's like, literally like all it goes to is just like, does it punch down? And it's like, yes, it's not funny. No. Does it really? Literally all things point to, no, it's not funny. That flow diagram is like a whole thing. It's just like punching down at people who punch down in comedy. And I feel like this is like, him being like, yeah, I did that. And it's almost him being like, when's it my turn to get cancelled? Not in a, just like, I want the attention of being cancelled, but in like a, why are you guys letting me get away with stuff I did 5 years ago when no one else got away, no one else is getting away with stuff they did 5 years ago?
And,
like, why are you guys giving me the free pass? I'm literally just like a white boy who made trash comedy. Like, please hold me accountable, dear God. Like, here's all the bad things I've done.
Yeah. And look, this is not an area that we are experts in, nor that we can speak from. Go and seek out. There is content around there of some really fantastic black voices in academia talking specifically about
people who know more than we do.
Yeah, but they're talking about Bo reflecting on this and
right.
discussing why it is he does get a pass and the things he does that make it different. Seek out those voices. They're a far better place to talk about it. I think
because I'm surely not going to stand here and be like, no, he gets a pass, because it's like,
no,
he clearly doesn't want a pass, so I'm not going to be like, no, he gets a pass.
I do enjoy the Jesus imagery as well. The idea of like he's the martyr. It's fucking genius.
Well, it almost feels like people who would be giving him a pass almost would be like who are giving him a pass who's like, oh, because you're better now, Bo, are like people who would try to like claim giving themselves a pass, ignoring the people who you reference who have actually looked at just like, well, no, here's why he actually kind of not has gone away with it, but like is fundamentally different. You can see it as his work. But it's almost like him making the song to be like, oh, you should cancel me. Most people's reaction to it would be like, no, Bo, you're so good. And it's like, why do you think that?
Yes, why do you think that? And it's a like...
Why are you giving him a pass?
Like, it's a fundamentally novel question for this person who, like, there is ostensibly nothing different about Bo than other comedians, except that his work is more artistic. And he's doing something different.
Yeah.
He's doing something more conceptual. He's addressing things in a different way. He's always talking about performance.
He's more than just being self-aware. He's like self-aware of his self-awareness to a fault. Like,
well, and there's a comment he makes later, which is that being self-aware of being a douchebag doesn't make you not a douchebag.
Yeah.
And I know that as
what happens previously in the reactions.
Yeah. And as someone that like, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And as someone that like previously had thought that was enough, like to be self-aware of your shittiness absolves you of the shit.
Yeah, that was us like early AFA. There was a lot of that.
Yeah, and realizing that being aware of being shitty doesn't absolve you from being shitty. You just need to be better is like a thing that happens when you grow up. And
yeah,
I suppose the thing that I always think about this is it's not enough. Like what you say is perhaps less important a lot of the time than the actual actions you do. And a lot of what you'll find is that people who gravitate toward admonishing and absolving themselves of these kinds of things are the same people that talk a lot of game and do very little about it. And it's my kind of view that the real measure of someone is the difference between what they say and what they do. That gulf is where character is. And, you know, it's curious to me that Bo is both acknowledging it, but also he's acknowledging his acknowledgement. And that's why I think he kind of escapes that curve a bit. So yeah, definitely stick out those voices.
Yeah. I think he's not getting away with it. He's like becoming a better person. Like he clearly like struggles with his past.
Yes. And
like he hasn't gotten away scot-free. He's been not scarred by it, but he's been like, oh shit. Like, not only was it a shitty thing to do, it's now he's in a shittier place because of it.
Yeah, well, and that's, he talks about that mental health piece throughout, and it's like he's in a worse space because of all that stuff.
Yeah.
It hasn't. He's
But
not
he's still doing it.
He's not like, look, I'm a better person. He's like, this stuff continues to fuck with me. And that pivots nicely into 30. Now, does the intermission happen before or after that?
This is after. I have the intermission written after.
Okay.
After this.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why.
So have you.
That down. I didn't scroll down far enough. So 30 is obviously Bo talking about turning 30. There's nothing in my mind to this that's inherently tremendously creative. It's just an interesting, well put together visual.
Kind of talks about just the idea of like your creations almost becoming bigger than you when you realize, oh, I thought I was going to have finished this before I turned 30.
Yeah.
But that was just the pandemic as a whole. Like anyone who was 29 turning 30 in 2020 went through this exact same thing of just like, oh, I turned 30 on my own. Like I turned 20 something, not on my own, but mostly on my own.
Yeah.
It's like, I think everyone went through that. My takeaway from this is like the bit after the song where it's like don't kill yourself. Like I was just joking about that where it's him talking to the camera being like, nah, don't kill yourself. You're like, blah, blah, blah. But then it cuts to him sitting there with the footage of him being like, don't kill yourself on his t-shirt.
Yeah.
And to me, that was such I sort of took that as like a lot of like mental health messaging is like stupid and pointless enough that you can put it as a slogan on a t-shirt.
Correct. Yeah. It lacks nuance and depth and is so unhelpful that you can fit
and
it all
he's
on
sitting
a
there
t-shirt.
with it on his t-shirt going like,
Yeah.
he's like trying to convince himself not to kill himself.
Yeah.
And it may as well just be like a "Are you okay?" day on your t-shirt.
It may as
I
well
don't know if other countries get "Are you okay?" day or if it's just in Australia.
People have like Beyond Blue Day. There's always like, it's just basically a national.
Yeah, so
like,
we had like this national day of like mental health awareness and specifically like "Are you okay?" day, which is like when you're meant to help people, you ask people around, are they doing okay? And like it shits me off. Like, sorry, this is grandstand. But as like the token not okay person at work, because like managers know that I've had to like take time off for like mental health stuff, and it's like I'm quite visibly at times the not okay person at work.
Yeah.
That day fucking sucks because it's
terrible.
a reminder. It's just like, oh, I'm seen as the not okay person.
Yep.
And I have all these people like coming up to me, convincing me not to kill myself, and it's like I'm not going to, but like now I almost want to just to spite you.
Yeah, kind of.
But also like, no, because I don't, like, I'm not going to. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, if I could just kill myself for a year.
Oh man, honestly, that exact sentiment I can absolutely mirror. As the person who is mostly not okay a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It is
and
exhausting.
And like any sentiment where it's just like a lot of like awareness of like people, it's just, it comes off as just like so flat and pointless. You may as well just chuck it on a t-shirt. It's like, you can just wear the t-shirt and I'll be like, oh, cool. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big one. And I feel like it's a very subtle message, that one. I feel like the kind of people who pick up on like the whole, like, it's on a shirt, it's like, it's really empty, and you're just like, oh, yeah.
That's for people who have had that feeling.
Yes. Yeah.
The other thing that I think this sets up, and this comes up a few times later, is the idea of things perpetually feeling like they're about to end. Comes into the later stuff, the next section, which is the real kind of the meat of the dark shit.
We were overdue.
But the idea that for some of us it feels like everything is always about to end at all times, and it's like a thing that just like never went away.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, like the depression arrived, and then it was like, oh, I thought this would end. What? Hang on, wait a minute. This is just it forever?
Yeah, this is how it goes.
Yeah, we'll get stuck right into that. So we get an intermission here.
Which is just like hilarious because you're like, wait, what?
Well, I also like it because it's so Bo, there's a piece of Perspex glass between the camera and Bo, and he's cleaning it, which like, because we've been looking through the camera lens the whole time. It's obviously him polishing it up.
Well, I take it more like because he, at the very start, he references like me and my camera and you and the screen. So I take it more as the screen.
Oh, the TV. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I take it, and because like watching it, like it looks like he's cleaning your screen because the focus is on the Perspex glass. Like, it's just great fucking cinematography. But yeah, I take it more as like he's cleaning the screen.
That makes more sense.
For like for reasons.
I don't know.
He's dirty.
It's just dirty screen, boy.
who
He's
knows?
getting rid of all that muck beforehand. Now it's time to get real. So we do open back from the intermission with "Don't Want to Know." Now you made a good point when we were watching it before, which is that this kind of feels like, and he's directly addressing the audience here. This is sort of that Greek chorus post intermission. Bit of a recap of what's happened so far.
Oh, it's like, are you enjoying the show?
Are you enjoying the show? Like, how's it going? Like, kind of the MC talking to the audience.
Yeah, like after an intermission in the stage show, the MC will come out and like recap because you obviously went off and had a piss and forgot everything. They recap what happened and be like, "Ooh, enjoying the show? We're about to find out." Blah 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 blah.
This is obviously a holdover from the Greek tragedy days when you would literally have a chorus who would address the audience, speak on behalf of the audience.
Yeah.
Shakespeare did this. With his plays, we have the person telling you what the play is going to be about, and then in the intermission, you have.
And this is the first like hint that is like we were watching this for the second time, and like even though I knew how it ended, I was just like, wait, is this a stage show? Like this is an intermission. This song is reintroducing. Like, is this a stage show? And it's like. Yeah. Yes. It's literally
confirmed by the ending.
It's confirmed. Like it's not that far a stretch, but you're like, oh, okay. It's interesting when you're watching it for the first time. You're like, wait, intermission. You're like, is this a stage show?
Yeah. It's kind of
this whole thing just been a play.
Is this whole thing just been a stand-up comedy stage show
on Netflix? That I pay for?
Is
this just content?
Is this content? Speaking of content, we then have this video game bit. Which is very funny. Now you made a good point about this, which is that so the basic setup is that
it's like a let's streamer
let's play. But you were saying that there was a flash of this earlier
in like the first or second song, or like I think it's before the Look Who's Inside Again. Maybe there's like it's like a wide shot. It's just like he's walking around doing something. There's like a single frame where like Bo from this segment where he's just in the corner just like flashes on the screen for like a frame, and it's like. What's the deal with that?
I
have no idea.
My assumption is that what he's trying to get at is like
maybe there's like this whole thing is just like a game.
Well,
or
the whole
like
thing's
a content, or like
it's content,
has
but
an audience,
but it's also like every day is the same. Like even though in the game it says day one, it's like actually this is just every day. Every day of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just meta fuckery.
Fuckery. I mean, the video game it's very good.
It's just entertaining.
I also love the way that he perfectly captures the banality of a lot of the way people make that content.
Oh my god! And like where he's like reading chat and they just like check the door and he's just like, yeah, of course that's it. It's like that's such a stream thing. People will be like playing a game and the chat will just like tell them what to do. And it's like some people get like annoyed at streamers with I'm not gonna get into this, but like. Yeah, no.
I'll start some
it's
fights.
very well distilled. I'll just say that. Very, very good. Very good, Bo Burnham. You did a good job.
You did good.
You did good.
We've then got the pairing of shit and all-time low, which sort of then pivots into what is the back
like
half.
A sack of shit.
Yeah. This whole sequence is so okay. We have the video game bit, and then we have Bo going to sleep.
Yeah.
Now, the way that I read this, because he wakes up later before the ending, the way that I read this and have always thought about it since the first time I saw it is that this is basically like us going into his subconscious, or this is kind of like him taking us into his internal world. The rest of the show feels external. It feels... he's talking about the world and things writ large. Then we're moving into this liminal, like internal space, so no longer are we just inside the room. We're now inside the room.
Yeah, and a lot of these songs are like pretty bombastic. These are like the big songs as well.
Yeah,
like they're all like pretty like dense in their content, and like there's a few just like throwaway. Like there's Jeff Bezos too, which is like fuck okay,
good, yeah.
But. Yeah, like, and I guess like part of me is like maybe these were the songs that were written like in like peak lockdown. At least they kind of feel like it. Like these feel the most relevant, the most kind of like, yeah, you kind of had to live through early 2020 to have this kind of like have these kind of feelings. Yeah,
and I think that's because of the underlying darkness that is it's this chaotic darkness. There's this entropy to them that feels very emblematic of what that time felt like.
I think all these songs are like in the dark with lighting rather than having natural light. I think there's one there's a moment in the middle where he does a monologue that is lit, but it's lit with like false prophetic light, as if like it's reusing that Jesus imagery. Yeah, that's where it's like the lighting with where he's like
Yes.
we can't go to the surface or whatever.
Yeah, but
that's still like being lit artificially.
Yes, and so what we get here is a sequence of songs that, in my mind, are really this like it's delving into what it's like to be not just inside and be in lockdown, but be someone who is depressed and anxious in this environment. And be someone that is tortured by both that depression and anxiety and creativity, there's
the world
and the world writ large. And there is nothing more relatable and poignant to me than this sequence of songs, to the point where like it kind of breaks my brain a little bit each time I watch it, because I'm like,
it's just like, wait, what?
It's way too close to home. So we start with "Welcome to the Internet."
Well, after the feeling like a sack of shit.
Yes, I mean, I don't want to litigate this too much, because they're
like,
pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
it's preparing us for what's to come. He's giving us a bit of a.
There's like there's like the talk to camera about mental health, which is like has like that big poppy like fun bit in the middle, which is just like classic Bo, more like contrast. But then the internet song.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So this is the one that struck a nerve with me a lot, and I'm going to talk about TikTok some more.
Okay.
So the song is really, it's like, like just the absolute like avalanche of content that you can consume on the internet. And like, this is an important like word that he uses, because like the internet versus the web are they're two very different things. But we'll get into it some more. So like, obviously, like, you know, if you got your Facebook and your Twitter and your stuff, and you can just like consume content on these sites, on these platforms, really. Like TikTok is terrifying because, so like Facebook and Twitter, you have to follow people, right? YouTube, you tend to like look at your subscriptions, like whoever you subscribe to, maybe follow the sidebar, like whatever. You kind of curate your own content to a degree.
Yeah.
TikTok, you join in and you get given one screen, which is just like, there is a screen of like, people you follow, but it defaults to this page, which is like the For You page. And that's like the algorithm feed. And it's, you just like, you watch a video and then you're done with it and you swipe up, you get a new video, and it goes on forever. Like Facebook, if you keep scrolling, you'll eventually get yesterday's shit. And you'll be like, I've already read this. And you'll stop. Twitter, you'll keep going. You'll get yesterday's shit. You'll be like, I'm done.
It's just never ending.
TikTok doesn't end. And the algorithm that they use to like, sort of like give you stuff is like, it's uncanny. Like a lot of people would describe it as just like, oh my God, it figured out exactly what I enjoy. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of fucking weird though. Hey, it's like, it's not like YouTube or Facebook where it's like, it counts engagement as like you subscribe to someone or you like their content or you watch like a whole video or stuff like that. TikTok is like, if you like spend a second longer on a video, on like a certain video, it's like they'll track that. And then it's like if you open the comments for a video, it'll be like, they opened the comments for this video.
Oh, I hate
like
this.
if you swipe across to view the profile, but then you don't follow them, you go back and then you keep going through, they'll be like, we know that you looked at their profile.
That's horrifying. So it's just like,
it tracks every single action. And even just like if you see something and you immediately swipe off, they actually track that as just like, you clearly didn't like it. So it's not just like on YouTube, you can like view a video, be like, I don't like this and leave, but it counted you as an engagement.
Yeah.
But on TikTok, if you see a video and you swipe off immediately, it's like, that was an engagement, a negative engagement. Like it's this next level of like algorithm. And it means that like you can just sit there and just scroll forever.
That's hard. And the more you scroll, the more engaging it
the
becomes,
more it figures out about you, and the more it, like, there's these memes where people be like, I'm on gay TikTok, or I'm on straight TikTok, or I'm on like frog TikTok.
Can we just put out all of our phones in the bin? Because that's what are we doing?
Because it'll figure someone out and be like, this is like you're a bisexual male. I'm going to start feeding you content that other bisexual males have engaged in a certain way with.
Yeah, right.
And it is like, it's insane. It's actually crazy.
So this is something that I noticed with Instagram. One of my exes was super into Instagram. And when I say that with as much like as derogatorily as I don't mean it. It's just like it's one of those things where it's like I never understood the appeal.
Fair.
because it was all that you're doing is and it was the stories in particular. It's a similar mechanism where you're just moving through stories, and then eventually it's just hitting you with stuff it thinks you're gonna like.
Yeah. So a lot of like other platforms have started just like trying to copy the TikTok model, where it's just like, so like YouTube Shorts is basically the same.
Yeah.
Instagram Stories is the same. It's like once you finish the stuff you're following, it's like, all right, now I'm just gonna start giving you stuff I think you like. TikTok is just pure content. Like half the time you don't even know. You don't even care whose it is. Like the little icon of the person who made it's just in the corner, and it's like there's no connection to like who made it. Really, it's just like more content, more content.
See, that's really like that's super. I mean, this is obviously always going to happen. This was the natural evolution of everything that's happened for the last 20 fucking years.
So this song, back to the song. So that's like the first bit of the song. Is like that's where we're up to with this technology. The bit where I alluded to this when we were watching it again, where I was just like Bo knows more than he's letting on the fact that he knows quite a lot about how the internet has worked. So the internet is sort of like these days you'd call it the internet, like you got Facebook and your Twitter and your stuff, but those differ to the web.
Yeah.
So the web was like, he references like in the late 90s, that kind of time period where you didn't have the internet, you just had like the web. And the web was like personal blogs, like a few chat rooms, like just like people having personal websites.
Yes.
Like people like forums, like all these parts that were the web before like Facebook came along and before Twitter came along and before all of these platforms took all of those like communities and kind of just integrated them into themselves. So like we were around when like forums were a thing and like pre-Facebook, kind of around when MySpace was a thing.
Yeah. And
like at that point you had, like you didn't have just this constant stream of content because you didn't go to the web to just like consume. You went to the web to find something.
You had there was like a deliberateness to it.
You had to know what you were looking for. You had to find it, and then you would go there intentionally. Whereas now you just go to Facebook. And oftentimes you're not even going onto the internet. You're going onto the Facebook app.
And he makes a comment in the song about like the plan was always to put the world in your palm, and that it's the idea that these fucking things, these little fucking rectangles, this is the problem. And
the thing is, this is where I'm like, this is why he has the Jeff Bezos song part 2. Is that this song specifically, when it goes back to like, the past time, he talks a lot about just like, we knew you were coming, we knew what you wanted. The we is these early internet users, because like Zuckerberg was a nerd, like Musk was a nerd, like all these people were early internet users, and they created these platforms, which then caused the shift from the web to the internet.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about this, there's this really good Wired article called "The Web is Dead, Long Live the Internet." If you Google that, you'll find it. It's had a lot of talk around it. It's not a great article, but it kind of gets into this idea that like, we don't actually have the World Wide Web anymore. We have the internet and we have platforms.
Yes.
So it's like, no, like everyone's going on Facebook, or everyone's using their phones to use the Facebook app to talk to people.
They're not going.
No one's actually going https://facebook.com or like myfriendswebsite.com.
See, I still do that stuff because I'm an old user.
Yeah. So
people don't do that anymore.
No one does it. Like you're not. Like people use the internet to use these apps, which are basically these walled gardens.
Yeah. And
like, sure, you can kind of connect between them, but 9 times out of 10, it's the one company owning multiple apps.
Yeah.
Like the Facebook ecosystem is Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. Yeah, like they're like, that's all we need for full social interaction. If we own all of them, we own social interaction.
Which they do.
To
be fair.
And then
they got us.
And so like this song where it's like, it goes to the slow bit where it's just like, the early days in the internet. And it's just like, we knew you were coming. And then just like that manic laugh is just like that again, like he's playing the bad guy. Like he's literally Jeffrey Bezos.
Well, he's also tacitly agreeing that his like Bo became famous because of those platforms. He's saying I'm part of the problem. Like I was one of the early people that dragged us all into it.
Well, because even like early YouTube was just intended to be a place where you could upload a video to then embed in a different website.
Which is what most of us did with
Which is what most, or like just to share video, like
Yeah.
through an email or through like a forum, because it was like sharing video was hard because video was big and expensive and internet was slow. So like YouTube was like, hey, let's just like let people put shit on our servers for free, which is like doesn't make money,
No.
which is why they have never made money.
never gonna make
YouTube
money.
is in the red always.
them and Uber. It just
Like they don't make money, but they have so much control that they can funnel money into other places. Fucking the world's fucked.
we can't explain.
No one understands it.
We can't explain transactional finance to you. Okay, but suffice it to say that idea of not needing to make money is like a really pernicious.
It's a weird thing.
It's complicated.
But yeah, it's like early YouTube wasn't making money, but because it was just based around this idea of letting people share video, but it morphed into being a platform. Like instead of being linked to YouTube, be like, hey, watch this cool video. You go to YouTube to find the videos. Like instead of like calling someone up to talk to them, you go onto Facebook and then you find them on Messenger.
Yeah.
So, and again, like this links into like the Jeffrey Bezos part 2, where it's just like, hey, I'm talking about that Jeffy boy.
Talking about Jeff.
It's literally my interpretation. The only reason both those Jeffrey Bezos songs exist is to dunk on rich people and to point out the fact where it's just like people like Jeffrey Bezos are like the reason why the internet is like it is now.
Yes, and I think
this is I love like the old web because we were just in time to catch a little bit of it before it all went to shit. It was great. Like I love forums. I love like having a community that's separate from like the grossness that is like Facebook.
And look, there are still spaces where it's happening, but it's like they're
rare.
getting few and far between.
Yeah.
Like I still go to like waypoint.vice.com and read the Waypoint articles, and I listen to the Waypoint podcast, and I go to the Waypoint forums. But like that's because it's me and like every other 30-year-old male.
Yeah.
Like there's just this like small pockets of it still. You know?
And even like more and more, like when you have like that community build up around like a traditional web thing, it's like they'll have a Discord server.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's different. That you are going to Discord then. Like you're just hopping to a different part of the internet. You're actually not. That's not the web.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting observation. I think that's probably why we were never as successful as we could have been, because we never had that. We never like
we were in that transitionary period where it was just like you had to be on the verge of making the Discord. You had to already have a big one.
I have a brief presentation of some information for you at the end of this about the show and like numbers and stuff like that. But part of what's interesting to me about this discussion, particularly in context of Bezos too, is that realistically, everything up until this point has been providing you the context you need to understand why this stuff is bad. Everything he's talked about before then is laying out the outcomes of these things, right? That it's okay, you know, this is how the world works. This is how things function. Okay, then let's talk about the different bits and pieces that go into it. Let's talk about the way that's flattened, you know, digital interaction through sexting. Let's talk about unpaid interns and the way that they're treated, and then the flattening of entertainment with the reaction videos. And then it's the problematic of like, why hasn't it been canceled? And then it's the Greek chorus of like, are you enjoying it? And then with the video game where even life is becoming its own spectacle. Yeah. And then suddenly all of that comes to a head in Welcome to the Internet, where it's like, well, that and Bezos Part 2, where it brings it all together and it goes, hey, look, these fucking people did this on purpose. This wasn't an accident. Like these individual malicious actors took advantage of the system and did these things on purpose to make money. And that if you're on TikTok on your fucking phone, you're making the money. If you're on Facebook sending a message to your fucking cousin, you're making the money. Like these platforms exist to sell your information and sell you advertising. And the second that you cotton on to that doesn't make a difference because you can't fucking change it. Yeah. And that's kind of the point of the song in my view. It's like, hey, look at how open we are. Welcome to the fucking internet. Let me lay out all of our dark secrets. Oh, you don't like that? Sorry, here's Bezos Part 2. You can't change it. Yeah. You're not powerful enough to change it. And that's really like, I think that's really clever. It's a really like sort of poignant way of articulating the complexity of the underlying issue and then the powerlessness of most people to do anything about it. Obviously absent the fact that like if everybody stopped using Facebook tomorrow, the world would be vastly different. But that would never happen. Do you have anything else in that one, or do you want to get into the...
No, I think that's it.
That's my
spiel. The internet sucks.
Let's talk about sad stuff. So next we get That Funny Feeling, which is one of my favorite songs of all time.
So I guess this song is so well written because it leaves you the question, which is like, okay, well, like, what is that funny feeling? Because I feel like everyone kind of has a different like, they come away with a different message from this.
Yeah.
Do you want to share with the class? Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
What is that funny feeling to you?
Let me table set the song a bit. So it's Bo basically singing about various different kind of things that have happened recently, particularly in the last year, that are very anachronistic and seem unlikely. And then he's talking about this thing that creeps in from time to time, which is this like funny feeling. And you know, for me, it really is this the underlying existential kind of depression and anxiety that kind of sits at the nexus of all of my creativity and who I am as a person. There is this undercurrent of it's like a subtle toxin that is always there, and it comes and recedes, and it never goes away forever. And it's this inherent paradox because, you know, it comes in waves, and so when the tide's out and things are good and better, things are never fixed, but they're better, and then eventually you forget that it's coming again, and then something happens, something anachronistic, and then it sneaks back in, and then suddenly you're in a dark place again. And two of the lines for me that really illustrate that is the comment which we've sort of previously litigated, which is 20,000 years of this, 7 more to go, which is that idea of like things always feel like they're ending. Yeah, there is this constant. Like
surely it can't get worse. Surely it has to. Surely this is as bad as it gets, and then it ends.
And then it ends, but it never ends, and it always gets worse.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't. And then, you know, the implicit sense that the world is always ending is something that is something I really enjoy. You know, a lot of the fiction I enjoy has this undercurrent. Like I've been rereading The Dark Tower, and that's all about this idea of things feeling like they're moving on. And you know, for me personally, this felt like, you know, it felt like things started to end in 2005, and they never did. It still feels that way. Yeah. And that's just my brain. That's just reality and how it feels sometimes. Yeah. And that's kind of crazy. I don't know if that's like a super relatable thing.
So my takeaway from this and like sort of what the funny feeling for me was, I think similar. I sort of took it where we sort of live in an age where there's so much information. You get so much just like news about like what's happening, where it's like the world's ending. There's like the, you know, like, with the line where it's like gift shops at shooting ranges, like mass shooting at the mall, where it's like, you kind of hear about that and you're like, yeah, okay. Like that's a thing that like is happening. But for me, like all of those things, you kind of just like, I've heard of that happening, or it's like, I'm aware of that happening, blah, blah, blah. For me, the funny feeling is like, it's when you come across something that you've known exists, but like it hasn't ever really affected you because you've been like so far away from it. But then it happens to you, and you're like, wait, no, this is meant to happen to other people. Like,
oh, that's interesting.
Where it's like, you know, like I can imagine that like if you grew up in like or a certain country that has gun violence issues, and you kind of, you know, hear about these mass shootings, and then one happened like close or like that it directly affected you, you'd be like, it's not meant to happen to me.
Well, that fucking happened with like the Christchurch shooting.
Yeah, like literally.
We were like, what the fuck?
We were like, wait, what the heck? And
that
like,
doesn't happen.
And it's like, that happened in New Zealand, but like it was done by an Australian, and we were like, wait, what the fuck? Like happen. I thought we weren't that.
Yeah.
And you kind of have, and like another line of that where it's like Googling derealization, hating what you find.
That line bodies me every time.
Where you're like, yeah, because like, I don't know about you, but it's like, I didn't know what derealization was for a long time. Like I knew it was a word and I knew it was a thing, but like, yeah, the first time I Googled derealization, I fucking hated it. I was like, oh wait, really? That's it?
You know, I'm a high functioning depressive who's been going to therapy for years. I heard about that in like 2014.
Where it's just like intrusive thoughts. I just called those thoughts.
Yeah, well, and that idea of the intrusive thought, it's like it's so interesting to me that the special is full of these intrusive moments in the middle of the comedy. You get comedy and then you have these intrusions of like weird depressive shit or anachronistic stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like this song is describing, well, the special is describing this song. They're mirrors for each other.
Yeah.
The song in describing these things and how this stuff slips in and just these intrusive like little blips is the special. It's these intrusive little blips getting in the way of the comedy or getting in the way of the stuff. But that's just like reality. Like that happens.
Yeah. I think like, yeah, I've written down here, it's like, for me, the funny feeling is like the realization that like you're not unique. Like you are, like when there is a statistic that says like, you have a 1 in something chance of being killed by a falling coconut and then you die to a falling coconut. So it's like, you were that 1 in something.
Yeah.
It's like, congratulations, you're the statistic. And it's like and because we live in such like an information age, it's like everyone is part of the statistic of life. And especially now in these end times we hear about,
Yeah, it's all bad.
you know, when you hear about like case numbers.
That's all we talk about is
Yeah, it's case numbers.
Yeah.
So like when you kind of think about like, it's hard to be like, oh, you know, we like, it was like 500 cases. But then if you know someone who was one of those cases, you're like, oh, it was actually 499 plus my friend Jim, right? Like,
Oh, that's the realest shit of that you said something there, which is you're the statistic.
yeah.
That's exactly fucking it.
Yeah. And then when it kind of moves on and you hear about like, especially like it kind of, I feel like a lot of this like end of the world stuff, it kind of comes to like global warming where it's just like, you're hearing scientists say like 2040 shit's fucked. And you're like, yeah, but that's 2040. And you don't realize that it's just like 2040's over there. Like,
It's next door.
It's next door. Like that is us in, you know, less than 30 years.
But I mean, like think about
less
like,
than 20 years.
Think about the last like 7 years where it's like, oh, you know, ages ago, you know, Ben Elton was writing books about wouldn't it be funny if like a reality TV star became president or whatever. And like that shit goes and happens, and it's like, oh yeah, like all of the things that were supposed to not happen. Like
I made a tweet at the end of 2019 when we were getting bushfires, and I was like, oh, occasionally something will happen and you'll think, oh wow, this is apocalyptic, and then it ends. This time it hasn't ended. That was in reference to just the fact that we were having bushfires for so long, and like we get bushfires in Australia. They'll last like a weekend. They'll go out. The sky will be red for a day. It's apocalyptic.
This shit was like months.
But it ends. This was like months. Like, and like it, like many people were being like, do we just live with a red? Like I literally had thoughts were like, are we just going to live with a red sky for the rest of our lives? Kind of.
Well, I mean, this the thing about like, you know, it's like we're going to be living with this forever now. This is going to be, you know, obviously it'll become like the flu or whatever.
Yeah, it'll become endemic, but like still feels a bit weird. And for me, that's the funny feeling where it's just like, and then like later in the song where it's just like, we were overdue. It doesn't say what we're overdue for, but I think like
everything.
Yeah, it's like we were overdue for this. Like surely we couldn't have lasted this long and not completely fucked ourselves over.
So I wrote this article about The Dark Knight Rises the other week about this exact concept of like there's a quote in that which I think is so perfect where Catwoman's talking to Batman and she's like,
"There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne. You and your friends better batten down the hatches, because when it hits, you're all gonna wonder how you ever thought you could live so large and leave so little for the rest of us."
And it feels like this is a reckoning.
Yeah.
But it feels like the reckonings keep happening and they haven't stopped. And
you know what? It's like we thought we had a reckoning last week. We got another one.
Well, it's like, you know, I was
HR called up. There's another reckoning.
I was saying this to someone the other day where I was like, you know, I had all this, like I had the worst year of my fucking life last year. Like it was really, really bad.
Worst year of your life so far.
And then this year I'm like, yeah, things are better. And then I'm like, but this went wrong and this went wrong. And then I'm like, I can't see. And it's just like all these things keep happening and they're always happening. And that's the point. And that when we get to the next song, that is like, God, like it is just such a fucking hard thing to bottle up and encapsulate, but Bo's done such a good job of doing it with eloquence.
Yeah.
So before we get to that other song, we do have this bit where he's trying to say that he's done, like that he's finished.
Well, he's trying to say that he's been doing it for a year.
Yeah, and then we get a few like kind of cuts and morphs and things like that, and then we get a cut back to the mirror
Yeah.
Where, because so he's trying to wrap it up and do a wrapping up monologue, but he keeps fucking it up, and it's really hard to tell if that's real frustration. But if you've ever had to record a script to exact timing, like we've done over the years, when you fuck something up like that, I remember doing video essays, and if you get the line wrong, you would get it wrong like 10 times in a row.
Yeah.
And you get to the point where you're like, you get it's like genuine.
And not even that you, and like, yeah, the last fuck up is never like you actually do a fuck up. It's that your brain does the fuck up for you.
And then you're just like, I can't.
You're like, no, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And he's like, why? You were doing fine. It's like, no, I wasn't.
No, I wasn't.
I just wasn't there.
Yeah.
It wasn't the one. I decided that was not the take.
Yes. And then, yeah, exactly.
My brain decided to tell me that, no.
So then we get to the I'm not well, where it's Bo's looking in the mirror again. And again, it's hard to tell if that's real or not, but it seems pretty hard.
So there's another shot where, so the camera in this special is interesting. I think it appears about 3 times you actually see the camera. So one at the very start where it's like zooming into the lens, and the lens is just like this black void. And it's kind of meant to be like, oh, that's like the camera or whatever. Is the next time you see it is where he's introducing the special. And the camera's just there. And he like moves the camera, and you're like, you know, it's me and my camera and you and your screen. And you're like, okay, this is cool. The camera lens is not a black void. It's an actual camera lens. Yeah. In this one, it's the same shot of him and the mirror with the camera, but the camera is the black void again.
Yes.
And it's like slowly zooming in. And the camera is also out of focus this time. So I sort of took it as just like at the start, like everything was in focus, nice and like cinematography wise, everything was stopped down. You could see everything was nice and in focus. But then the next time it's like the focus is shitty. Like it's super shallow depth of field. The camera's out of focus, even though it's zooming in on it and it's the subject. It's like, it's almost like he's lost focus.
Well, yeah,
in a very obnoxious kind of
but like
metaphorical way.
I mean, I think it is that, like, yeah, it's...
I took that as, like, we are not the focus anymore. Like, us as the camera, because that's our point of view. Like when, like, post... Like, I'm sure we went into this being like, it's going to be me and the camera. We're going to do this special. And by the end of the pandemic,
like,
you're like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah. And
go fuck off.
Then it becomes... Then he's like... Then it's no coincidence the next song is called All Eyes on Me. Yeah. We're no longer the focus. We become an audience member again. Well, we're not part of it.
And it almost feels, because he picks up the camera and fucking dances around with you.
And he starts playing applause and laughter. Yeah. The audience is placed back in the scene from being a participant. We're now just a fucking audience.
And this whole song feels like, it feels almost like cultish or like spiritual, kind of coming on from a previous bit he does about like, oh, so good to be back at live comedy, blah, 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 where he's like sort of presenting himself as this like cult leader figure. This song, it feels really like coming in the water's fine. And then you have this like call and response. It's just like, you say the ocean's rising. It's like I give a shit. It's like you say the world is ending. It's like, buddy, it's already gone. Like he almost feels like this prophet character where he's just like, the world's over. Just come with me. Like, I'll save us all. Like, I have the solution. And like, it's probably not great, but like, what the fuck else are you gonna do?
Well, I think, I mean, so that's an interesting reading. I the way that I took the song the first few times I've seen it, because I mean it is interesting. The way I took it the first few times is, we're in the proper deep dark part of the night at this point. Like we're still in this sequence before he wakes up. Yeah. This is like the fucking
this is midnight before he wakes up.
Yeah, and much like the Kanye rant. This is like, hey, look, you can't fucking look away. He literally demands your attention. He places the audience back in the scene. We hear the applause. We're in the scene again. And, it's clear to me that, this song is like confronting and loud and weird. And there are these incredible harmonies that sometimes become discordant. And toward the end, it's just him in the background, like, it's the track, and then it's him in the background making really fucking weird noises. Like if you listen to this with headphones on like a really high quality, like in the 4K or whatever, you can hear Bo just like yelling at the microphone in a like over the top of the recording. It's really weird. Like for me, it's confronting. It's uncomfortable. This is like the peak of the depression and the anxiety and like the world ending. This is what it feels like when you're mid things going wrong. When you're in the middle of a depressive spiral.
This is what a panic attack feels like.
It is what a panic attack feels like. And it's loud and confusing, and then there's someone yelling at you, and then you're moving and you can't see anything, and in reality you have this
spinning.
Well, it's literally derealization. You can no longer identify what is where you are and what's going on, and the intensity of it, right? But I think crucially, and this is why I fucking love this special, is that happens, and then Bo takes us through to the other side.
He wakes up.
And you wake up, and then eventually there's daylight. Even in the darkest, most manic, those anxiety-inducing nights, the nights where you're like, how the fuck do I keep being alive? You wake up.
And I love this segment that you mentioned that where it's sort of like this analogy of like being in like the worst state and then waking up, because then in where he's sort of doing his morning routine and he's sitting and he's actually watching the video of the song, and does he close the laptop?
He does that after, but he's eating cereal and
he's kind of watching, and it's almost like after you have like a panic attack and you've kind of calmed down in a bit, and you're a bit spaced out for the rest of the day, because panic attacks take a lot of energy to do. You know, you gotta feed yourself and make sure you're ready to have.
It's your body thinking it's dying. It's fine.
It's great.
Yeah.
But like afterwards, you always have that bit of self-reflection where you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. And he's like watching himself, and he's almost like, well, it's that like happened.
Well, the line that I think speaks to that really well, and this is why I think it's such a consistent piece of this, is like that line that you alluded to, which is, you say the world's ending, baby, it already did. That is like the most poignant expression of depression, where it's like it literally always feels like the world's ending, but it already ended, and now it's ending again. Yeah, and that's fine, and it's just part of it. It's part of the process.
Or it's like, oh no, I'm having a panic attack, and it's like, yeah, no shit, buddy.
Yeah,
been having one for the past 5 minutes.
That that fucking song, man, is like it's a lot. It really does like speak to just this. Yeah, it's a very, very accurate, articulate expression of what is a really complicated thing to try and communicate. And I think if you're someone that feels those things and goes through those things, you'll watch that and immediately be like, yes, this is that feeling.
Yeah.
This is that feeling that he's talking about. That feeling is this sense of complete derealization during this panic. This you are powerless against it. All you can do is fucking ride the storm, baby. That's all you can do. Yeah. And then we get obviously the kind of closing song the following morning. We wake up with a bit of a routine. He says, look, it's done. And then we get Goodbye, which is the ending song.
So that, as I picked this up on the second watch, it opens with him, I assume, like at the start of the project.
Yes.
He's got shorter hair. So it's like, this is like,
from the start.
This is like take one. Like he's already written the ending, and it's funny because in the song, and like this, so the three songs that get like a reference at the end of this is like there's a little bit of everything. How could you joke at a time like this? And then look who's inside again, which is different. We'll get to that. But it's like, was it the case of like he wrote this song, the first bit, but then it fades to him actually performing it at the end, where he's like long hair, beard, etc. And it's like, did he add those extra bits on the end, being like, like these things I've realized over this process are important enough that I need to like bring them up again?
Or did he write the whole show at the start of the pandemic and the whole thing is a performance?
I mean,
do you know what I'm fucking talking about?
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like you can't really.
But that's the point. That's his whole argument. That's his fucking thesis, is like all of these things are real and happening and honest expressions of things in the world and depression and all this stuff is real, but it's a performance. And it lacks authenticity because it's through a screen. It's still a performance.
Yeah, and it's like, do you need a pandemic to make this any more or less of a performance?
Correct.
Like, does this happening during 2020 when we all knew what was going on? Maybe not necessarily with Bo, but we knew what was going on in general. Does that change the... Like, sure, some of the songs hit a bit different. And some of the songs are a bit more, like, relatable, lol. But, does it change the fact that it's... it's like, we don't know how much Bo struggled throughout the pandemic. All we have is this piece of artwork that implies some things. But then at the same time, with the context of Bo Burnham, what we know, the things that he has done, where he's just impossible to tee down.
But that's somewhat the point. And
yes.
I think that's the point of the show. I think the point of the show is like, these are all honest things that we can all relate to the things we've all felt.
They're all true.
But I'm not saying they're all true for me. I'm just saying they're true. And that's what Bo does really well.
Yeah.
And I think that is what artists should do, right? We present truths. They don't necessarily have to be our truths, but they have to be... They have to be true. They have to be true to have impact. Every good bit of art is like that. Think about BoJack. I don't think every person that worked on BoJack, is a manic depressive. I would assume. I don't know for sure.
I'm sure
But-
a few of them, but not all of them, surely.
And, you know, if I'm writing something about depression, or if I'm writing something about falling in love or heartbreak or whatever it is, it's usually true. It doesn't necessarily mean it's always the full truth or my truth or a truth that I'm feeling at that point. And I think that's like, this is the point of like what this special does, and why so many people watch this and they fucking think about it for days. I mean, Bo's stuff has always done that, but more so than anything else, it forces you to interrogate like your own assumptions about everything that's happened in the last year. It makes you engage with it on a level that I don't think often happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, the way this wraps up with then him going outside and we get the stage and the applause.
Yeah.
Obviously, that folds into the idea of this being a performance.
Yeah,
He's left
it's a
the room.
stage
It's
show, yeah.
over. Right. The final act is done. The curtain drops. The curtain rises back up, and you bow to the audience.
Yeah.
Right. Then obviously we get him trying to get back inside. I think what's interesting about that is kind of tying back to Look Who's Inside Again. Bo constantly hiding from the world with this authenticity.
Well, yeah, because that in the ending song, when he references like give a little bit of everything, and then the other song, which I've totally forgotten, how can you be joking at a time like this? When it does like a reprise of Look Who's Inside Again, it's not him singing. No. It's like the big spotlight. He's naked now. Like it's almost like he's been caught, because it does the line where it's like, put your hands up, we've got you surrounded. Yeah. It's almost like, for me, it feels like that would be like if someone's like, oh my God, if someone found out that he was making a new special after 5 years of being out, and they're like, come out with your hands up, and also the special, I want to see it.
Yeah.
And he's like naked, and he's like, but it's not finished, or like, but I don't want to, like, I've been inside. It's like,
yeah,
it's like, I don't want to finish it. Now that it's done, it's like, I have to like release it. And then, yeah, him waking up. No, this happens before. Him like going outside, and it's like a stage show, and him wanting to go back in. It's almost like he was just like, oh, maybe I should release this. Yeah. And then like, nope, this was
complete
a mistake.
Panic, yeah.
No, I am not ready. Fucking let me back in. But then,
well, that's why that last shot is so fucking good, where he's watching
it unfold,
and it's this tiny smile of like, it's done.
Well, because I mentioned this before when we were watching it. It's like it definitely seems similar to the shot of him watching his first YouTube video, and it would line up where it would be, that's the start of his career. And then this is the most recent thing he's doing. If we kind of see this, like maybe he's reflecting on everything that's led him up to this point, which like, yes, a lot of the songs in this are him reflecting on how we got here. You're like, maybe that last shot is like, maybe that's the honest bit. Maybe that is him actually being honest, being like, it's done, it's released, it's out. It's the smile is like, it's a little bit Kubrick-y, a little bit devilish, a little bit fiendish.
It's got an energy to it.
It has a vibe. You're like, is he a villain again? Like where is this character? Like what is this manifestation of? I think it's just like a reflection.
I think it's an admission that he's happy with the art he's made. Like he's happy with this.
He's able to watch it. Like even if like, like when we make stuff and it's done and you watch it through and you're like, all right, okay, yep, it's done. I'm gonna fucking kick it out the door and not watch it for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that way when I release a book. I'm like, cool, I need to not read that for another year.
Yes.
It's like there is a grim sense of satisfaction.
Yeah, because like no one releases a book and then reads their own book immediately. No one. Like that just like no one makes a video and then like you watch it like before you release it and then you release it and then you don't watch it again. Yeah. Unless someone was like, oh, there was a mistake in here, and you go, fucking where?
It does happen. Yeah, look, do you have any kind of closing thoughts on the special before I kind of wrap us up? I'll wrap up that part, and then I've got a little bit to present. I know that you need to go soon, but yeah, do you have anything that you want to kind of...
I gotta go. It's the last episode. I could fucking leave.
Fucking leave, bruh.
I'd like, for me, like overall, I think the special is like, I mean, it's fucking phenomenal. To me, it's like all of the individual ideas... Yeah, it's full of like truth. Like I don't think there's anything in here that is like that you can point at and be like, actually, I think this is actually like this. Like in terms of the messages it's presenting, I think I don't think there's anything in here that like is particularly like groundbreaking. I think most people would agree with this, or at least once informed of it would be like, huh, yeah, like that is a bit fucked. Especially sort of like the commentary on like the way the world is, especially like the internet and like being a consumer and like, or being a creator or things like that, or just the fact that shit's fucked, yeah.
Shit is indeed fucked.
And I think it's like, it's good that stuff like this exists, because then you can have conversations about it, even if 9 times out of 10 people are just like memeing on it or just using it to like make viral TikTok videos. Fuck. Yeah. So, but and like, it's like, yeah, okay, like I got exposed to a lot of these songs through TikTok before I even saw the special. It didn't actually like lesser my experience of it. Like, so I think that makes it really good. Like the fact that you can be exposed to just the most contrived, pointless, shallow garbage that is like using this work. Same way if you were like, with like This Is America, if you were like, lol, he does a funny dance. But then you watch the video and you watch the music video and you watch Inside and it actually still affects you. You actually still get the full effect of it, even when in my mind I'm like replaying TikTok memes during the song. So I'm like, I'm still picking up the vibes, right? Like that's just how effective it is.
Yeah, and I guess like it's proof that you can still do things like this. It is performance about performance, but it is something that inherently has artistic value and is saying something that's important at this point in time and will continue to be important for a long time. And it's said well, and it's said with eloquence. It's entertaining. It's thoughtful. It's creative. Like it's tremendous. It's one of those things where like this is so tremendously creative and interesting. And it is no surprise to me that someone like Bo has done this. He's always pursuing that kind of thing. He's always looking for that different angle. And I think if there's any takeaway for if you're a creative person, it's keep trying to be inventive. Don't settle for the next to most obvious way of doing something. Always interrogate, try and do something unique. And then I think as an audience member, it's that combination of learning to be quiet and listen, and learning to really authentically engage with the way things make you feel, and then process and kind of work out how you're going to engage with the world on your level. Don't let these fucking people, don't let Bezos, don't let these platforms, don't let them control and decide the way that you interact and function within society and interact with the world. Yeah. You're in control of your destiny, and you need to fucking do something about it before you get completely swallowed, right? This stuff is going to fucking take all of us if we're not careful.
Yeah.
And it's really simple. You just have to push back a little bit at a time. You got to keep taking the territory back. Keep making those active decisions. Make choices. Don't let things be made for you. Don't let yourself just become a fucking consumer that doesn't worry about how things work. Take some fucking initiative, and I think you'll find that like on the balance, whilst your life will never be perfect, because obviously I think that's Bo's message. Like you're never going to be completely happy. Things will get better, and you'll find that things are more enjoyable, and that even if you make a choice and it's the wrong choice, at least you're an actor in your own life. You're an active participant in reality. You don't need to let derealization take you over. And I think that for me is one of those big takeaways of like, you know, you're in control.
Yeah.
To as much extent as any of us are, you're in control, and you need to start making those choices. I think that'll do it for that portion. I wanted to just like rattle back to you a few really interesting numbers about the podcast. AFA facts.
Real quick.
So we published our first episode on the 12th of August, 2015.
Oh, geez, 2015.
Yeah. Which is a long
6 years.
time ago.
So it's our 6-year anniversary.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago. Spoiler, it's 28th of August.
Yeah, and we'd done about 6 or 7 pilot episodes before that for about a year before we released anything.
So when you're saying first AFA, is that first of the reboot of like the good stuff, or are we including the hour-long monstrosities?
I think I'm including the hour-long monstrosities because there was a good period before that where we couldn't work out what the show was, and I didn't release any of it.
Right. Oh, yeah.
We published, not including this, 456 episodes.
Oh,
So this is episode 457.
damn.
Which is a lot.
That's so far. Jesus Christ.
It's a lot of podcast
That's
episodes.
a lot of podcasts.
Over the lifetime of the show, we've had roughly 432,000 unique Sorry, isn't that 400? Yeah, 432,000 unique downloads of the show, with our peak average monthly downloads sitting somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000.
Damn.
So there's a few months there where we were like actively hitting about 10 to 15,000. That was like during the early BoJack days when we started covering that. We were funded by over 100 unique patrons across the lifetime of the show.
Thank you.
Including some favorites, Yoop Kumans,
the legend.
The Boy, Cameron, Anonymous Squirrel, Peter J, Sally 2020, and this user cannot come to the phone right now.
Is that their Patreon?
That's a Patreon, yeah. That's pretty good.
That's so good.
Over the course of the program, I spent approximately $30,000 in wages and about $10,000 in equipment and utilities.
Guess who got none of those wages?
Well, if you did any fucking work, you would have got some money.
I got paid in beer. It's all right.
There you go.
Just a lot of beer. How many beers did we drink?
I didn't do the maths. You
got to go back and you got to count.
You got to count
every beer.
I want to see a beer count supercut.
Just like a beer graph.
A beer graph.
It's just exponential.
Oh, Jesus. We had over 14 unique guests. A few of them returned more than 3 times. Our most popular video ever was a Darker Than Black video essay, which clocked in around 92k views.
92,000.
It was a very patronizing video. I don't like it. It's not very good.
What was it like to diss note? I want to know.
It's not good. It's
brutal.
Our most successful episodes of the podcast were about Bo Burnham, BoJack Horseman, 500 Days of Summer, and Rick and Morty.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a surprise. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. The Dark Souls 3 Let's Play we made is the most successful standalone series we ever put together.
Yeah, that checks out.
Aggregating over 60,000k views for its lifetime. Whoa. Which is a lot of views.
It's always good to meet a fan.
Yeah, it's always great to meet a fan. This is one of my most interesting... this to me is pretty interesting, which is that since we launched the show, we sold over 300 shirts.
300 shirts! There exists 300 of those shirts out there.
Well, this next number's going to fuck your head up.
Whoa.
Over 5,000 novels.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy. I've never known how like the sale numbers for novels.
Yeah, pretty good
crazy.
actually. Yeah,
that's really good.
55 posters.
Wait, of Maynard posters?
Yeah, there's like other posters we did for a while as well. And a single laptop bag. We only sold one.
What was the design on the laptop bag?
I think it was just like a Redbubble thing. I think it was just like the logo or something.
Well, This logo fucks.
It's pretty good.
It pops.
It pops pretty good.
How much did we spent? Like $20 on that logo, didn't we?
I think I just went into Fiverr. I put like $100 up on Fiverr, and
the person who designed like 6 in a row, and they were all garbage except for this one. It was like, how could you come across something so good if your other designs are so bad?
It was very much diamonds.
Shout outs to that person. I hope they're not watching this.
Yeah, that was a weird diss. What if they're a long-time fan now?
You made one good one.
You made one good one.
This is a banger.
Those are all my stats. I just think that's interesting. We had a lot of people who've listened to the show who've got a lot out of it. I know that we got a lot out of making it. But yeah, I mean...
Weirdest moment, that one person who commented on my feet
multiple times.
Multiple episodes.
Who kept coming back. It was weird.
Yeah.
You had a foot
I'm wearing
stalker.
socks today.
You had a foot stalker from me.
Yeah.
I'll cut to the wide angle so they can see your socks.
No, good lord, no. Get rid of that.
Get rid of that. Look, all I wanted to say, the last episode, the show was a genuine joy to make. It gave us purpose for a long time, something to kind of aspire toward. In the peak and the stride of what we were doing, I think that there was, it was truly a unique approach to what we wanted to do. We carved out this incredibly niche and nuanced media crit voice that is now kind of evolved into the Zero Intent publication. I've been fortunate enough to work with a bunch of really interesting creative people across this period of time. Yeah. And if you're a listener, if you've been a guest, if you've helped us out, if you've anything from like retweeting to watching a video to giving us a like to dropping whatever it is that you've done, if you've been a patron, we genuinely appreciate everybody who's been involved in this show and this kind of journey. When we started this program, we were kids.
We were just a bunch of fucking idiot teenagers.
Yeah, and now, we're obviously
just a bunch of fucking idiot adults.
A bunch of fucking idiot adults. It's been a really incredible journey across, the last 6 or 7 years. I know that I've learned a lot from this process. I feel like I'm a better creator, I'm a better writer, I'm a better person as a result of all of this. So yeah, literally just wanted to say thank you. I'll still be around making stuff, but this is sort of we wanted to give Apparatus the send-off it deserved.
Yeah, because it petered off, and like we've talked about this for like literally this entire year. Whenever we meet up, we're like, AFA was some shit, and we're like, it stopped because it was getting just kind of unmanageable. Yeah. Just sort of the the scope and the requirement for it. Like even just sort of the research, and even just like sometimes just watching things was just getting like, I think like after we did that fucking Marvel shit, we were just like, nah, we were just like, this is not sustainable.
No. It's not sustainable unless it's a full-time job, right? Because the amount of...
Yeah, which it was not. We were both working full-time on top of all of this.
And you make a good point about coverage, which is the amount of stuff we had to watch and play and read for coverage, and the amount of... So I would do like 10 to 12 hours of research minimum a week on top of the actual coverage of watching the things we were covering.
Yeah.
So it was like another full-time job, and we loved doing it, but it just got to a point where it's like we have other priorities that arose. Like we grew and changed as people. We became adults with other responsibilities, and it just didn't become viable. And you know, whatever we end up doing in the future, we'll be, you know, I'll still probably be making stuff online. You'll probably
I'll pop up here and there,
be involved here or there.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
There'll be some things where my name will pop up.
But, you know, for the most part, like, I'm pretty satisfied with what we've done. I think it's a tremendous achievement that I'm super proud of.
Yeah, same.
And, you know, if this is the send-off, we were to never do anything else, I think it'd be a really, really good, you know, yardstick, point in time to look back and kind of just celebrate that this was something that we decided to do, and through brute force, you know, I made it happen, and then we stuck with it.
Yeah, somehow. It's like... It really started off as one of those podcasts that was destined to fail after like episode 3, and then 400 later. I mean,
you know, and that's
failed now. So
yeah,
we got there eventually.
We did eventually. I mean, obviously, you know, huge credit for the success of the show goes to some of my mentors throughout the process. Obviously, you know, Joel Zammit and the Sans Pants guys. Their intercedence during the early period was really the making of our program, I think.
Yeah.
And then just the ability to be able to bounce off and work with so many interesting people across the years has definitely been, you know, a real pleasure and a joy, even when things were difficult or tough, or the show was stressful, or relationships fractured this, or these things whatever the fucking things are. It's like in my mind at least, you know, the 7 years we did will always be the 7 years that we did, and you know, people are either going to take this as a great coda and be happy that it's over, or want more. And either way, like, you know,
too fucking bad.
Either way, too bad.
We're doing more.
We're fucking done.
The show's over.
The show's over. It's done, and that's kind of crazy.
Fuck, I'm so glad to not have to do this shit again. I mean, it's been great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but
it's
like,
also exhausting.
Good lord.
Yeah. Look, that'll do it. This will be this is it. So
this is the last one.
Look, appreciate all your support.
Yeah.
We'll still be around doing stuff, but I think for the last time ever, I will say thank you for watching or listening. And this has been the Art for Artists podcast.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. So we'll see you guys when we see you.